Thank you so much, Marie, and good afternoon, buenas tardes a todos. I am the Reverend Maria McCabe. My pronouns are she, her, and ella. I am a Unitarian Universalist minister and a Latina elder from Puerto Rico. So unlike so many in our community, I do not face the daily worries and the daily harassment and abuse from immigration authorities, and therefore I feel that I can use my voice perhaps and hopefully as effectively as possible. I did not know any of the science that Bonnie, you, and Marie laid out, which is so devastating. I did not know this a year ago, and I began to learn, and the more I learned, the more appalled I was and angered. And I have to say that one of the things that most impacted me was the fact that in so many of these conversations about the environment or even about leaf blowers, that unlike what the two of you did, there was very little conversation about those who actually use the equipment day in and day out. And that felt to me like it is a story that needs to be told, and it is information that needs to be spread as widely as possible. So I'd like to tell you a story. When I became involved in this and realized that it was going to be important for me to be able to testify and before the town select board and to testify at a town meeting, I reached out to a colleague of mine who is one of the main counselors at a immigration support network in a community near where my congregation is. And I said to her, I said, I know we absolutely do not want to jeopardize anybody's safety by showing any names or showing any photos, but would you be willing to pull together a group of workers who work with landscape equipment day in and day out and ask them, how is it for them to be using this equipment? We know, and I'm sure you know, that for whether they're documented or undocumented, our folks who come from Latino America are often pushed into the most dangerous jobs in this country: meatpacking, agriculture, even, as you've just learned, if you didn't know, landscaping, which is our community's highest levels of not only injury on the job, but deaths from the job. And what you've heard described now is maybe a slow death, but it's still a murderous way to have to work. So she did this. She pulled together this group. And not long afterwards, she got back to me, and this is what she shared. At the end of every day, they told her, we have terrible headaches. We feel nauseous and really tired. They don't give us protection. They don't give us protection for our ears. They don't give us protection for our eyes. And every day when we finish work, our eyes are swollen and so red. We are in a lot of pain. And when we go and try to get health care for these conditions, especially for our eyes, we're told that nothing will cover health care for these things. And when we complain, or if we complain, if we dare to complain, we are either threatened for deportation or targeted to be picked up. So about 3 months ago, I was with a group of organizers and a close friend who has been involved in this and done research with this for a very long time, hoping that this town near Boston would pass a ban against gas leaf blowers. And as the proposal was presented, a line formed for people who were opposed. And the first person in the line turned out to be the finance director for the town, who said, and this is what many, many, many people will say, he said this: nobody, and you, the government, you cannot tell me what I can do in my backyard. You cannot tell me that I have to spend $400 or $500 on a new piece of equipment, because the equipment I have is perfectly good as it is. And I have freedom and I have rights, and you shouldn't be able to tell me what to do. When this one stops working, maybe I'll consider buying an electric one. And he was advocating that the ban be not even voted on at the meeting. So my compadre, my colleague, my companion in crime, shared the science that you've heard this afternoon, and then I stood up. I had to get permission. I'm not a resident from the town, but you know, when you wear a collar, they have a hard time saying no. So they said yes. And what I shared with this man is what the folks who do the landscaping work had testified to their closed group. And I shared about the injuries, and I shared about the fact that this is not just environmental injustice, it is social injustice. It is part of a huge reign of terror that is occurring in our communities. And at the end, I turned to the man who had testified and I said, "Sir, I sympathize with your concerns, but I urge you, as a woman of faith, I urge you to consider people and the health of people, of our brothers and sisters, before you worry about money." And so the message I have for you today is to recognize the power of people of faith, whether you are a faith leader or whether you are a member of a congregation, to decide how it is safe and possible for you to use your voice and to share this information and encourage your religious leaders to share it. Our communities need to know what is involved, and we need to know how we can best support the workers who are doing this incredibly dangerous work. They told my friend, the organizer, we know this is harming our health, but we're doing this for our families. And I know that everyone here can attest to that. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak. Thank you so much for the work you're doing. It is a pleasure and a privilege to be with all. Gracias.